Hello there. Thanks for joining me again today. Um, Last week we did a live coding session on how to build forms with Laravel Breeze and Tailwind CSS using a Laravel form components package. I will quickly show you what we've built last week. So it's just a fresh Laravel 8 application with a dashboard, and we've added this settings navigation link, and we've built a settings form for this authenticated user, which is me. So I can update my name, my biography, and some other settings like newsletter and UI theme, and I can set the language as well. So of course this is all dummy data. Let me show you the source code. So here we have the routes file, where I've only added 2 routes to the default Laravel application. A settings route with one get method and one post method. There's a settings controller, one to show the form itself, and one to update the user model. And after we've built this, we've migrated it to Livewire. So here is our settings controller, and then here is the settings Livewire component with the validation rules, the submit handler. So let me show it to you in Firefox, the browser. So I can update my name, maybe change the UI theme and the language, hit save, and now my settings are updated. It does validation as well, so I can remove the biography and name, hit save again, and then here is the validation error. The name field is required. So this form is built with Laravel form components, which is a package I've made. You can find it on GitHub. I think the link is in the description below. So this package works with both Tailwind CSS forms and Bootstrap forms, Bootstrap 4. It's really easy to use and really easy to customize. So the blade files are completely independent from the component logic. That's what we did last week. So if you're interested in that, just rewatch the live stream from last week. So what I want to do today is upgrade this form to Tailwind 2, because that's what I think it's exactly 1 week ago when that got released. So this form is still using Tailwind 1.9, I think. And let's upgrade it to Tailwind 2. So I've got the Tailwind documentation ready. And let's see what we have to do here. So before we get into this, I want to show you one more thing. This form components package uses a Tailwind plugin called Custom Forms, which is this thing Adam built on top of Laravel, on top of Tailwind, to make forms really easy to build and good looking without writing too much CSS code. So my package is built on top of this thing. But now custom forms is deprecated with the release of Tailwind 2. And I think it's called forms now. So in the release notes, in the upgrade guide, there's a note: if you are using custom forms, you want to migrate to forms, which replaces it. And the forms plugin has release notes as well. So yeah, we'll get into that later. Let's upgrade from Tailwind 1 to Tailwind 2. Use Tailwind and post CSS and auto prefixer using npm. So let's grab this command and paste it into the terminal. That was my firewall. Ooh, I've got an error already. It's probably because of custom forms. So there it is. There is the error. So custom forms is a requirement of Tailwind UI, which is installed as well. So I've probably missed that one. If your project uses Tailwind CSS UI, be sure to read the Tailwind UI for Tailwind 2 upgrade guide. So let's open that and we should start there. Let's see. Remove Tailwind CSS UI and then update Tailwind CSS. So we've got to remove the Tailwind UI plugin from our configuration file. So here is Tailwind config. We remove the plugin, save it, and I guess we have to remove it from package.json as well. So let's remove it. And then coming from Tailwind CSS UI, you want to install our 3 first-party plugins instead. So we have to install forms, typography, and aspect ratio. So let's start there. Whoop. Still broken because of Tailwind 1. So let's remove that as well. Here it is, Tailwind CSS 1.8. Yeah. Nope. Still not working. We probably have to update before we can install new packages. So now it's gonna remove the old custom forms plugin and Tailwind 1. Always takes a while. Maybe we can go back to the documentation and read some more until npm has been completed. So, here we are. Remove 4 packages. Yeah, that seems right. Let's install again. So now we are installing forms, typography, and aspect ratio, and it seems to work. So that's nice. We have to add them to the plugins array in the Tailwind configuration file. So before we had this Tailwind CSS UI plugin, now we are going to require 3 new dependencies: forms, typography, and aspect ratio. The color palette, yeah, sure. We don't have to go through this because I just have a default Tailwind configuration file because of the fresh Laravel app. So I think we are fine here. Let's go back to the Tailwind documentation and let's try again with the latest versions of Tailwind, post CSS, and auto prefixer. Well, we've got still errors. So we found Tailwind. Not sure what the error is right here. Let's see. I think it has something to do with typography. So let's remove that one because we can remove aspect ratio as well. Because We're only using the forms package. And then we can investigate later on why this thing breaks. Let's see, what's new in Tailwind? Support for Internet Explorer 11 has been dropped, which is nice. Everybody hates Internet Explorer, including me. So, it seems Tailwind, PostCSS, and Auto Prefixer are installed. So that's nice. Let's see. I think I'm going to believe this. This is all configuration stuff, renamed classes, etc., etc. I'm wondering, do we need to update anything in the Laravel mix file? Probably not. Let's search for it. Mix. Laravel mix. Can't find it. Webpack. That's weird. No Webpack. Well, there's only one way to find out. npm run watch. And let's see if we break Tailwind. Yeah, we do. So PostCSS plugin Tailwind CSS requires PostCSS 8. All right. Which we have installed, so that's a strange error. Maybe I should run npm upgrade. Change two packages, yeah. Let's run it again. Let's see. Nope, it still breaks. So maybe it has something to do with Laravel mix. Let's see. Ah, if you how nice. If you're integrating, I should have read this, right? If you're integrating Tailwind with a tool that relies on an older version of PostCSS, you may see an error like this. Tailwind PostCSS plugin requires PostCSS 8. That's exactly the error we've got. In this case, you should install the PostCSS 7 compatibility build. All right. Maybe Laravel mix has not been updated to PostCSS 8 yet. So let's do this. Let's cancel this. We're gonna uninstall Tailwind CSS, PostCSS, and Auto Prefixer. And then we're gonna install it again with a compatibility build. So Tailwind CSS apparently has a PostCSS 7 compatibility branch. And we're going to install PostCSS 7, of course, and an older version of Auto Prefixer. Let's run it again. Yarn, no, npm run watch, not using yarn this time. It still breaks because it cannot find the module typography. That's right, we've deleted that one because it broke. So we need it. Oh, because oh yeah, I'm not going to install it. I'm just going to remove it from the app CSS file. So resources, CSS, app CSS. Not specified here. Is it a requirement of the form package maybe? Well, let's try again with installing it. So npm install. And now it did install. npm can be so hard sometimes. Composer is much easier. Aspect ratio is missing as well. Who would have guessed? Added one package, so now it should work, right? It takes longer than before, so we're probably fine. Yeah, compiled successfully. So let's go back into Firefox and let's refresh our settings page, which still looks great. You might wonder, has anything changed at all? So there is still a form input class. I thought it would be removed. Well, let's go back into the forms package. Where is it? Got too many tabs opened. Yeah, here are the release notes for Tailwind forms. So alongside Tailwind CSS version 2, we are releasing a brand new official plugin called Tailwind CSS Forms that normalizes and resets all the basic form controls across browsers to a state that is super easy to style with pure utility classes. All right. It's not included out of the box, but you can edit. So that's what we did, right? We added the forms plugin. And then check out the documentation. Here we are. So if I understand correctly, the previous version of the forms package had a form input class. Which should be removed now, right? So it's a bit strange. It still works. I guess something else going on. Maybe we have an old version of the CSS file. Let's see. Yeah, in one of the podcasts I heard Indigo was removed. Maybe not. This is really strange. I'm not sure what's going on right here. Maybe. Let's take a look at our app layout file. Oh, that's fine as well. This is where the style is loaded. App asset CSS, app.css. It's this one. So let's see if this works at all. Body, background, red. Nope. It doesn't seem to work. It did update the body tag in the source file. So it looks like Firefox is loading an old version of the CSS file. Let's see, maybe it's some kind of caching thing going on. Yeah, that was it. So the CSS file was cached. Yeah, here it is, background red. So let's remove this. It still doesn't look bad, right? It's still fine. I'm actually a bit surprised it looks this good. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna publish the assets from the Laravel form components package. So artisan vendor publish, and let's publish the assets from the Laravel form components package. So here they are. We've got Bootstrap files and Tailwind files, and I'm gonna duplicate the Tailwind folder and call it Tailwind 2. And then in the configuration file, form components, we can change the framework to Tailwind 2. And to prove to you that this works, let's change it to Bootstrap 4 in the first place. And let's hit refresh. Now it's broken because we've got all these Bootstrap classes. Let's change it to Tailwind 2. So we're back again at Tailwind styling. And let's start with the form input. So we can close all these files first. Make some room. So if I understand correctly, in Tailwind 2, with the new form package, yeah, here it is. All you have to do is add classes, which is very Tailwind-like, right? So in previous versions, we had form input and select input and all kinds of classes. Now we have 0. So there is a live demo of it, which doesn't seem to load. But if I understand correctly, we have basic utility-friendly form styles for the following form element types. So actually for all kind of types, there is some basic styling. And if you want additional styling, you can just add classes, which is fine with me, which is even better for the package, I think. Even more customizable. So this is how the form elements look out of the box, which is very similar to our form right here. And here we have a bit of styling with rounded corners, different color in the checkbox. Here's the underline style. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove all the, I think I'm gonna just remove all the clauses because we don't need them anymore. Right? So let's take a quick look at this. Yeah, it still has a bit of styling. It didn't completely change. So we still have a block. We still have some margin top, value, full width. So it's not completely removed. It's very similar to what we have already. So we have a block, full width, margin top of 1. So all we have to do is just remove this form input class because it has no use anymore. So we can remove this and it should still look fine. Yeah, nothing has changed. So now we have a block, full width, margin 1, margin top 1, just like the example. So there's actually not so much work to do. Let's go to the text area, which also had a class formed text area. We can remove that as well. So if we inspect it before we refresh it, this form text area class, it's completely unstyled. This form text area class has been removed. So if we refresh it again, it still looks the same. So we can do this for all our Blade component files. Yeah, so we can remove form checkbox as well. And of course, this has no use anymore. So we can remove this. We can remove this merge call. Whoop. Just echo out the attributes. Radio is the same. No more form radio class. Select. We had a multi-select and select class. We can remove that as well. And remove the extra space. Oh, we already did radio. Let's refresh to see if anything's broken. Nope, still works. Submit. This one is heavily styled. And all the example forms don't have a submit button, which makes you wonder, should we do it as well? I think we should remove the classes because there's one strange thing going on, and that's we don't have rounded corners in our elements. Of course, for the radio buttons, of course. And now our form submit button has rounded corners. That doesn't seem right. That's just a bit strange. So I'm not sure how we should tackle this problem. It's not really a problem, but because there's no such thing as a submit button in Tailwind, of course. You just have to make your own. What are we gonna do about this? Let's go to the Tailwind documentation and let's search for forms. Maybe they have some examples. No. They just redirect you to the form plugin page, which is understandable. I could also choose to leave this as is, because it's less work for people who want to upgrade from Tailwind 1 to Tailwind 2. And what if I remove everything? What does it look like? Let's see. Yeah, that's strange, right? We don't want that. Or at least I don't want that. So I think we should leave it as is. Maybe only remove the rounded. The rounded corners, because that's just so strange. Together with the non-rounded elements above in the form. So I think this is fine. Yeah. It's not a perfect solution, but I can live with it. So let's go through them one more time. Checkbox done. Errors, still one thing we have to check. This form group thing is really a helper component. It's not really Tailwind specific. We removed it from the input element. Label still the same. Radio is updated. Select is updated. Submit, we've talked about it. Text area is updated. And no classes in the form component. So all we have to do is checking the errors, which are now in red, small and italic. So if I remove my name, hit save, here is my error, which is still fine, I think. Maybe I can open Tailwind UI and see what forms look like in Tailwind UI. So let's see if I can move the screen. Yeah, so here we have Tailwind UI. And let's see. There's probably a section. Yeah, here it is, form sections. So form layout. Yeah, this is really yeah. They look great. But I'm not gonna copy over anything from here, because it's really up to the user of the package to style these components. So, no updates to the errors as well. Let's close all the components. So Tailwind 2 works fine with the form components package. And what we can do now is add classes to our form. So let's grab our form one more time. This is our form. And if we want, we can add rounded corners to all elements. For example, by adding it right here. Class rounded, like this. If you want, you can add shadow as well. It's probably something you can't see on the live stream, but it has a bit of shadow. Maybe we can make it larger. Yeah. That doesn't work. Never mind. So yeah, that was a really easy upgrade. We had a bit of struggle with the Post CSS plugin, but everything seems to work fine. We have a form package that is compatible with both Tailwind 1 and Tailwind 2. So I'm gonna just add this folder Tailwind 2 to the component package for you to download. And yeah, then you can customize it however you want. So of course you can, what you could do, for example, if I want rounded corners in all my elements, you can just duplicate this folder and call it custom. So maybe you want all your input elements to be rounded. Let's change the configuration file. Framework custom. And then all your input elements are rounded by default. So if I duplicate this field a few times and I hit refresh, they are all rounded. And maybe we can do rounded Excel. So now they are really rounded. That's how easy it is to customize this package. So I think that's already it for today. I will, where is my recorder? Let's see. So I will upload this to, I will update the package. I will create a pull request to support Tailwind 2. And let me know if you have great ideas how to handle the submit button. Something I'm still thinking about, still struggling about. But I guess for everyone who wants to use this package, everyone's gonna customize it, of course. So it's not a big deal, I think. Shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Stay safe.